The movie begins with a young woman named Ellen leaving her hometown behind, hoping for a fresh start in a new city. She feels tired of her old life and is eager to begin again. In her former town, Ellen had a sinister habit. She would make people fall in love with her, sleep with them, and then slowly kill them. Her most recent victim was her husband. After his death, she decided it was time to move on to another town, escaping her past and leaving behind the trail of bodies she created. Ellen smokes frequently, a habit that matches her cold and calculating nature. While on her way to her new home in California, Ellen notices a police car approaching in her rearview mirror. Panic sets in, and she pulls over, fearing she's about to be caught. But when the officer stops her, she flashes a devilish smile and talks out of trouble, charming the officer and sending him on his way. Finally, Ellen arrives in California, ready to begin her new life of manipulation and murder. As she unpacks her belongings, Ellen meets Press, who becomes her new roommate. Press welcomes Ellen and shows her around their apartment, oblivious to the danger lurking beside her. As they chat over coffee, Ellen casually shares details about her life in her previous town, mentioning her late husband. Press listens, unaware that Ellen's husband was murdered by Ellen herself. Meanwhile, Ellen is already setting her sights on her next victim, Press's husband, Richard. Back in her room, Ellen studies a strange painting that reveals her dark magical powers. The painting symbolizes how she ensnares people with her beauty and kills them through seduction. She prepares for her next ritual, using a calendar and strange ingredients to create a magical serum. Ellen drinks the potion, invoking a spell. Goddess of beauty and power, send me a handsome man so I can seduce him. The next morning, Ellen heads out to buy more supplies for her rituals. As she sits in a park eating a sandwich, she spots a man nearby. Using her powers of attraction, she begins drawing him toward her, setting her plan in motion once again. The man stumbles over himself to get closer to her, and the two begin talking. Flattered by his compliments, Ellen thanks him with a mischievous smile, telling him she's someone who naturally loves attention. The man is smitten, and soon Ellen starts asking him personal questions, including if he's married. He quickly replies that he's single. The man's name is revealed to be Sister, and he comes from a wealthy family, an ideal target for Ellen. As they talk, Ellen easily manipulates Sister, making him fall for her charms. His girlfriend, watching the interaction from a distance, becomes furious, but is helpless, unable to do anything. Ellen takes Sister back to her place, and from that moment on, it's clear that he's falling hard for her, even though he doesn't know the real danger he's in. They start kissing, and Ellen hands him the mysterious serum she had crafted earlier. Sister drinks it, becoming even more obsessed with her. He craves her attention and wants to be intimate with her, but Ellen refuses at first, keeping him hooked. Later, they prepare dinner together, enjoying drinks and slowly stripping off their clothes. Sister is completely entranced by Ellen, and they eventually become intimate. As they lay together, Sister confesses that he's utterly captivated by her, unable to forget her, and willing to do anything for her love. Though Ellen appears calm on the surface, she's already plotting his demise. She tells Sister to rest and leaves him alone. In another room, she lights a cigarette, contemplating her next move. Sister, now completely under her spell, calls out for her, hungry and desperate for her attention. The following morning, Ellen prepares breakfast for him, acting as if everything is normal. But as Sister eats the meal, he begins to writhe in pain. The serum has taken effect, and soon after, he dies. Ellen watches as Sister succumbs, a mix of sorrow and satisfaction on her face. While she feels a tinge of sadness, she's ultimately pleased that her plan has succeeded. She drags his lifeless body outside and digs a pit in the ground, burying him along with some of his personal items. After the burial, she burns the clothes she wore and takes a long bath, washing away the evidence of her crime. With her next victim disposed of, Ellen takes off in Sister's car and returns to the apartment she had rented with Press. When Press asks about Richard, Ellen lies smoothly, telling her that he went to a party. She then heads to a dance party herself, mingling with the crowd and scouting for her next prey. Returning to her room, Ellen starts painting again, preparing for the next stage of her dark, seductive game. Each move is calculated as she gets closer to finding her next victim. Her interactions at the party serve as the perfect opportunity for her to meet new people and set her plan in motion once again, weaving her deadly web. Ellen applies beauty cream to attract her next victim and remembers moments from her past. The next morning, Officer Gret, now promoted, is approached by Richard's girlfriend, who reports him missing and suspects foul play. Greta starts investigating Richard's house, which he finds in a filthy state. There's rotten food with insects, indicating possible poisoning. While searching, he discovers strange items, including a burnt cloth and a bottle containing urine, part of Ellen's dark rituals. As the investigation continues, Greta is joined by another officer, and they search for a burial site near Richard's house. Meanwhile, Ellen, after a party, lures Richard to her room and serves him a meal she prepared. Richard unknowingly becomes Ellen's next victim. After drinking the serum Ellen made, Richard falls deeply in love with her, and they become intimate. On the other side, Greta is uncovering more about Ellen's past. He learns how she manipulates men, has sex with them, then kills them. Ellen, having learned dark rituals and black magic from someone earlier, continues her deadly pattern. Back at Ellen's house, Richard's condition worsens due to the serum. Press, another character, warns him about drinking too much, but he ignores the advice. Overcome with guilt for cheating on his wife, Richard breaks down emotionally. Greta, still investigating, tracks down the source of the ritual supplies. He learns that Ellen had purchased them and realizes she's responsible for the murders. Greta goes to confront Ellen, but when he arrives, she seduces him as well. Greta falls in love with her and agrees to marry her, unaware of the fate that awaits him. They leave together, heading for their supposed wedding, with Ellen's dark intentions lurking in the background. Ellen, feeling triumphant, rides her horse to the place where she had performed the dark rituals that gave her power. She arrives, ready to announce her next big step, her marriage to Greta. The crowd at the ceremony eagerly welcomes them both, preparing them for the wedding. Ellen and Greta are dressed in traditional attire, complete with crowns and rings. The ceremony leader officiates the marriage, declaring them husband and wife. Everyone celebrates with joy, unaware of Ellen's twisted intentions. The next day, Greta returns to his work at the police station, but something doesn't sit right with him. He recalls the mysterious circumstances surrounding his sister's death and decides to ask Ellen about it. Ellen, always confident, tells him that she had nothing to do with his sister's death. She explains that his sister had died from a heart attack. Greta seems to accept her explanation, but there's still doubt lingering in his mind. Meanwhile, Press wakes up to a horrifying scene. Richard, who had been acting strangely ever since he got involved with Ellen, has committed suicide by slashing his veins in the bathtub. Press is shocked and devastated. Her mind is racing, and she becomes suspicious of Ellen's role in all this. She decides to confront Ellen and sets up a meeting with her at a shop. At the meeting, Ellen casually reveals that she had just married Greta. To make things even more unsettling, she gives Press her wedding ring as a gift, saying it holds special memories. Press, though hesitant, accepts the ring. But as she leaves, the feeling that something is terribly wrong grows stronger. Back at home, Press decides to search her friend's room, hoping to find some clues. What she finds shocks her. Strange ritual items, photographs, and letters that reveal Ellen's involvement in dark practices. These items don't just hint at Ellen's influence over Richard, they suggest something much worse. Press realizes the danger she's in and becomes overwhelmed with emotion. Suddenly, Ellen appears behind her, holding a knife. A struggle ensues between the two women, both fighting for their lives. At the same time, elsewhere, Greta is at a party where he overhears disturbing rumors about Ellen. It's said that she uses her charm and dancing to seduce and eventually kill her victims. Greta becomes suspicious and decides to confront her. Greta, piecing everything together, now has proof that Ellen is involved in his sister's death and Richard's downfall. He confronts her, but Ellen tries to manipulate him, using her charm to divert his attention. However, Greta refuses to be swayed. Ellen realizes she can't control him as easily as she thought. At the party, things take a dark turn. The crowd, having heard rumors of Ellen's deeds, turns against her. They accuse her of trapping and killing Richard and Greta's sister. The angry mob attacks Ellen, but Greta steps in to save her, pulling her away from the crowd and driving her to his house. Once at home, Ellen, trying to regain control of the situation, offers Greta a drink. She attempts to seduce him, but Greta, now fully aware of her evil nature, refuses. He throws the serum, a potion she had been using to manipulate people, to the ground. Enraged, Ellen grabs a knife in a fit of fury and stabs Greta multiple times. He dies painfully, and Ellen, watching him bleed out, feels a twisted sense of satisfaction. With Greta dead, Ellen realizes she has successfully eliminated everyone who stood in her way or anyone she once cared about. In her mind, this is what brings her peace. She feels victorious, having achieved what she set out to do, with no remorse for the destruction she's caused. The story ends with Ellen alone, victorious in her twisted quest, but her actions leave behind a trail of death and misery.